Welcome back to TYT Sports. The biggest news out of the Premier League this past weekend is Chelsea have won it. This shouldn't necessarily come as breaking or shocking or oh my, how could this have happened? Because it kind of seemed like for the last month, 2 months, we were waiting for Chelsea to wrap it up. There was a little hitch. There was a point where Tottenham could have maybe possibly, but Chelsea will end up raising hardware for the end of the season. I'm joined today by Diego. Lauren, if you remember Diego, which you should, because Diego was at El Clasico, to my jealousy hitting an all-time high, to Francis's jealousy hitting an all-time high, and he brought us a fantastic clip, being outside in the scenes and everything that was going on at a truly amazing match from this season. Diego, in terms of the Premier League, this was something that you also saw coming?
This has been coming since a few months, and there really was no surprise in the end. It did look like Tottenham might have was going for a run at it at some moment in time. However, I felt like Tottenham was overachieving as it was. I don't think anybody at the beginning of the season was, pitching Tottenham to be a title contender. So, their loss against West Ham shouldn't really be painted as such a cock-up, I guess, as some were calling it, right. Because they were there in second position fighting unexpectedly, and Chelsea had been running away with it for quite some time. And who would have thought? Because at the beginning of the season, the first half, Kante was under a lot of pressure. He went on quite a losing streak in the beginning, and when people were praising Man City and thought that Pep was going to run away with it, but what a turnaround! I mean, I kind of was calling it to my friends a Leicester fairy tale part 2. And that's no disrespect to Chelsea, because obviously, Chelsea is not Leicester. I understand. I'm not offending any Chelsea supporters here. My friends don't get upset neither. But, last year they did finish 10th with a record low points under the Abramovich reign at Chelsea. And I certainly didn't expect them to really, maybe make a title run. Yes, 4th or 3rd position, but not seriously be so dominant in the Premier League.
What I thought was so interesting was some of the players from last year who sort of disappeared, reemerged as if 2015-16 just didn't happen. Like if you just were to take 2014-2015's campaign and 2016-2017's campaign, you'd put together 2 years of Hazard playing phenomenally. Now you added N'Golo Kante in there, which was obviously he finished with the Premier League Player of the Year. But Fabregas was amazing, and the defense, the back four, was not just playing so sound as a unit back there, they were also scoring. I looked at the BBC, and some of the things that they pointed out were just in general. I'm going to throw to a couple elements here, and I'm curious your thoughts on them as well as to how much this painted a picture for their season. In general, they were just comparing how often players assist on a goal, and going back to Fabregas, who assisted, this is only the players that 9 assisted more, he was assisting just above 100 minutes per assist, which is a lot better than some of the best players in the league as it is. And then on the defenders, in terms of just their pass accuracy and how many times they scored, you got guys, 2 Chelsea defenders on there, Azpilicueta and Cahill, in the high 80% of passes completed, just to show you how well they move the ball. And then lastly, in terms of how much they scored, well, excluding penalties, Cahill was up there with leading outside of just penalties. Excluding penalties, Premier League defense goals. Does this paint the picture when you think of Chelsea, or do you think that there was more to it than just the back four and how they had the reemergence of certain players?
Yeah, I mean, those stats are astonishing, actually, and they're quite surprising to me, especially when I look at the likes of Cesc Fabregas, who, let's be honest, he didn't really have the most fluid of relationships with Conte. That couldn't have been easy for him to deal with, both for Cesc and Conte, because Cesc obviously quite a renowned household name in Spain and in England, and for him to sit on the bench as much as he did, yet to then at that point still come out and be as productive as he's been this season, that's surprising to me. I wasn't aware of that stat. So, I mean, you have to hand it to Conte, the way he dealt with the egos of the players. I mean, let's look at Diego Costa as well. That's been a turmoil of a relationship between them two. Diego, of course, won't be there next season. I think he will be going to China in the end, or has already signed a contract. But yeah, I mean, all the credit to the new manager, man. I mean, that's incredible.
It really was. It's an amazing culture change. Just in general, growing up an American sports fan, obviously, and falling in love with this game of world football much later in my life, it changes your perspective on things. And eventually, it's so funny when you compare the two of them. Not that I'm trying to right here, but if like a new coach coming in and winning a title doesn't really happen. Aside from most recently in the NBA, there was one, but it's such a dramatic shift, and sometimes it's such a dramatic shift in style of play that you would think that Chelsea should have finished 10th again, because we gave Klopp a lot. I mean, we've given Klopp a lot. I've given Klopp a lot of leeway for Liverpool. I'm not sure if everybody else has, simply because he just seems like the type of guy you want to have a beer with. So I kind of want to root for him. But we usually, like, you hear it all the time in the papers, the back pages. You know, you have to give them a full year to sign the players they want. You have to give them a full year to make sure they get the style of play down. It seemed like the players bought into the system enough, and these aren't, as you mentioned, Diego Costa, not exactly the easiest player to get along with on the teammate level, on a coaching level, but he got the best out of them. So I guess my last question for you, is there anything specifically, any one game or goal or moment from this season that you thought really stood out for Chelsea?
Might sound a bit odd, but maybe the loss against Arsenal early on in the season, when Conte really, decided to fall back to his more Juve-like tactics in a way, and started to make some very serious and difficult decisions. I think that might have been quite a turning point for Chelsea, if I had to choose one on the top of my head just now.
That's a good out-of-the-box answer. The loss that changed the outcome of the season potentially. There was a lot. That's what's so great about the Premier League too. It's competitive. But Diego, thank you so much for joining me on this clip. If anybody is wondering, Diego's coming back for another clip. We have to talk a little bit about Atletico Madrid. Comment below, let us know what you think about Chelsea winning the Premier League, and we'll be back in just a minute with some more world football.
I'm a girl, it's my electro fairy tale. My magic is to catch up. I'm riding my